A bright and humid summer day is always the weather for a drink. Elodie had that idea as she sat by her pool in the heat. Her skin seared in the sun, and the water left on her bathing suit sparkled as light reflected off of it. The sunglasses she had put on to protect herself from the sun had only become a burden as they suctioned to her face as beads of sweat formed and began creating a most unfortunate sunburn. There in that lawn chair is where it all began. Despite the roots she had grown, Elodie unstuck herself from the chair and walked inside. Her wet feet slapped against the cold marble floor of her kitchen until she reached the fridge. She opened the door to reveal mostly space except for the lone box of Diet Coke. It stood alone in the middle of the refrigerator, empty and cold. Although Elodie hated carbonated drinks, this was her last option. She pulled out a single can, cold and firm against her hand. The all-too iconic silver and red stared at her. She walked back outside and snapped open the top of the Diet Coke as little fragments of fizz jumped onto her. Elodie raised the can to her lips and took a voluptuous sip to ease her parched throat. Immediately, it was heaven. The feeling of the sugary sweetness bouncing around in her mouth, paired with the zing of the carbonation, was all too exciting. This feeling was new and fun and elevated Elodie to an all-new world. Another sip. Yet again, the excitement filled her mouth, mind, and body. She could feel the sweetness filling every inch of her body. What was this feeling? What was this drink? She gripped the can with both hands, the icy texture immediately providing a contrast to her environment. The sun continued to beam down as Elodie raised the can far above her face and poured the rest of the Diet Coke into her greedy mouth. It only took her a few seconds to finish the entire can. She crushed it in her hands and threw it on the ground, smudging it a few times with her foot. The sun continued to fry everything it touched, and Elodie sat back in the chair. Surely she should not have another Diet Coke. However, it was hot out. She'd only had one. How bad would another hurt? With this sort of reasoning, Elodie marched back into the house repeatedly until only the sad cardboard box of Diet Coke remained. As she inhaled the last drop of her final can, a feeling of anxiety and sadness came over her. How would she stay cold without her Diet Coke? She began scouring through the house for more Diet Coke. She rummaged entirely through her pantry, only to find no Diet Coke. Elodie went upstairs to look for the substance, but no Diet Coke. Frantically, she darted around the entire house, but never found any Diet Coke. Defeated, she sat down on the couch. Had her hands always been this pruny? She had to remedy this and began picking away at her nails. Each hangnail was ripped from the tips of her fingers, and every cuticle was yanked off as if they were some peel of an orange. After a mere 5 minutes, her beautiful hands, once moisturized and well taken care of, looked like mangled and rotten meat, as if she had been a boxer her entire life. As the blood dripped from her fingers onto the carpet, she realized, had her eyebrows always been this unkempt? Surely she must fix them. So, Elodie moved on to her face, plucking out hair after hair until her eyebrows became tiny caterpillars marching along her forehead waiting to blossom. As Elodie gazed at her transformed hands and mangled eyebrows, a sense of regret and realization washed over her. The scorching summer day that once seemed perfect for a refreshing drink had turned into a quest for more, and the consequences were starkly visible on her hands and face. She knew she had to do something to stop her hunger for more, so she called her friend Carmen.
Hello?
Yo, what's up?
I need to tell you something, but you have to promise not to tell anyone.
Okay, sure.
I think I'm struggling with addiction.
Are you serious? Do you need me to call someone? What are you addicted to?
Diet Coke.
What?
I know, it's bad.
Literally, what are you talking about? That is a drink, and who cares if you're addicted to it? It's Diet Coke, not actual Coke. You're being stupid.
Carmen!
Carmen hung up the phone on Elodie, leaving her completely alone, only with the ever-demanding thoughts of more Diet Coke. Elodie swiped out of Carmen's contact list and clicked on DoorDash, ordering 2 cases of Diet Coke. While the app said the drinks would be there in only 20 minutes, it felt like hours for Elodie. She nervously picked at her skin while waiting for the doorbell to ring of sweet, sweet Diet Coke. Her nails dug through her skin on her face and picked at every blemish and indent. Scratch after scratch, her skin became more mutilated. The dirt and skin piled up underneath the remnants of her nails. The doorbell rang. Elodie, like a cartoon character floating to a pie, zipped to the door and swung it open, slamming the knob on the wall. There, on the ground, her Diet Coke waited with open arms. She immediately grabbed the bag and sprinted back inside, loot in arms. It took only a second until she returned to the couch with a Diet Coke waiting to be popped wide open. Suddenly, the doorbell rang again. Had the driver forgotten something? Elodie stood up, walked to the door, and slowly swung it open as it croaked on its hinges. Carmen stood there, worried, looking down to see what Elodie held. Diet Coke. She shouted a quick,
"No!"
almost as a yelp, and smacked the Diet Coke out of her hands. It clanked on the ground and slowly and mopily rolled out of view.
Carmen, why would you do that?
I was wrong to make fun of you. I googled it and it turns out Diet Coke is extremely addictive.
So?
You can't keep drinking it. I mean, look at you. Your hair is in shambles, there's blood all over your fingers, your face is battered, and your teeth are stained yellow.
I know that. If I could stop, I would.
Well, for starters, don't keep buying more. You have 2 full packs just sitting in your living room.
Carmen shoved Elodie aside and walked in to assess the situation. She grabbed both Diet Coke boxes and individually opened each can, dumping them into the sink as Elodie watched the liquid gold slip away. She then crumpled up the boxes and tossed them. Carmen then walked to Elodie's fridge, grabbed a cold bottle of water, and handed it to her.
There. Now you need to drink something else. Have you tried water?
No.
Well, then drink it.
Elodie slowly and fearfully opened the water. This was far less exciting than Diet Coke's thick, sugary liquid. It shimmered in the plastic, and its transparency was dissatisfying. However, she drank it. Carmen nodded in approval and gave Elodie a warm embrace.
I've done my part, but you have got to quit.
I'm sorry. I'll do better. I didn't know how to stop, but you've really helped me.
Good. I have to go home, but text or call me if anything happens. No more Coke either.
Okay, you're right. No more.
Carmen walked out the door, leaving Elodie alone. With no Diet Coke remaining and only water to keep her company, she sat longingly on the couch, drowning out her cravings with water. Just water.